So you're on the phone with the recruiter and the recruiter asks, so what are your salary expectations? And you're stumped and you don't know what to say because you're thinking, well, is this a trick question? Because they know how much they can pay me, but I know how much I want to make, but I don't know if they know how much I want to make. So I'm not sure what to do. And you're kind of freaking out. Then this video is for you. Believe it or not, this is not a trick question. It is not meant to stump you. It is not meant to pigeonhole you. The reason why recruiters ask you, what are your salary expectations at the beginning of a job interview is because they want to assess a few things. Now, before we get into that, what we need to do first is we need to take a step back and we need to talk about how companies determine how much money they're going to pay you. So at the beginning of the year, companies will get together with finance, they'll look at headcount, they'll look at how much money people are making, they'll look at how much money they're able to set aside to hire new employees and promote other like internal employees. And what they'll do is they will set a budget. Okay, so they're setting a budget overall for this type of work. Now, what they'll do is they will take that budget and allocate that to headcount. Now, we call that headcount planning. Now, what will happen is when they're doing headcount planning, they're deciding, okay, based on the needs of the company, these are the type of people we need to hire. So departments will basically report up to finance and say, okay, I need, let's say, a marketing manager on my team, or I need a software engineer on my team who's a mid-level engineer. So they go up to finance and they say, okay, these are the things that I need. And then finance goes, okay, well, based on our budget and the allocation of the budget, this is what we can offer you in terms of headcount. So whenever you talk to hiring managers, sometimes they'll get like really bummed out because they'll say, oh yeah, I only got like 3 headcount approved when instead I wanted 5 headcount approved because they wanted 5 employees instead of 3. Now, let's say there's a hiring manager out there and they need to hire 3 people on their team because that's what they got allocated. So the hiring manager goes, okay, great. So I got 3 headcount allocated for this leveling. Okay, so let's talk about leveling. When it comes to leveling, what we want to do is we want to think about it like a ladder. So on a ladder, we have steps on a ladder, also known as rungs. So when we're going up a ladder, we're putting our foot on one rung on the ladder. And then if you want to go up, you have to put your foot on the next rung on the ladder, and so on and so on, okay? We call this levels. Now, each rung, so each level on that ladder, has what we call a pay band or a range for that level. When you're on a level, that level has what we call a pay band, and that pay band stretches between a minimum and a maximum. Companies rarely will pay above the maximum level because that could mean that other people who already work at the company are not going to be making that amount of money, and that's going to throw off the company's pay philosophy. So what they do is they try to keep compensation within that band so that pay is fair for everybody at that level. When the recruiter is asking you about your salary expectations, what they're actually doing are 2 things. Number 1, they want to make sure that your expectations are actually in alignment with the pay band that they can pay within. So that's number 1. And then number 2, what they're doing is setting you up so that when you have the offer conversation with them, you already have an expectation of what the salary band is and what a possible offer can look like. So this is actually to your benefit, and I'm going to show you how you're going to use it to your benefit. Now remember, there's more than just your salary when it comes to being compensated for your time. Understanding all of the different parts of an offer will help you negotiate better. So let's talk about the 2 main parts: fixed compensation and variable compensation. Let's start with fixed compensation. Fixed compensation is your salary or your base pay. So this is going to be the regular consistent pay that you get for your job. It's usually an hourly wage or an annual salary. Fixed pay is going to give you that financial stability that you're looking for, and it's not affected by your performance or any business changes. And this is the primary base for your overall pay package. Now, the second part of your compensation is the variable compensation portion. Let's talk about bonuses. Bonuses are the extra money that you get based on your performance, your achievements, or any company's success. This can include a sign-on bonus, performance bonuses, retention bonuses. Bonuses motivate employees to meet or exceed expectations and can help you significantly boost your pay. Commissions. This is super common in sales jobs because commissions are payments based on an individual's sales performance. A commission structure usually includes a base salary plus extra pay as a percentage of sales, which helps motivate employees to reach higher sales targets. And then lastly, equity, also known as stock. So equity pay includes stock options or restricted stock units known as RSUs. Employees get shares of a company's stock, which can then grow in value over time. Equity, it helps align an employee's interests with the company's interests and their long-term success. And if the company does really well, you could do really, really well. Now, here's a bonus tip. Now, this isn't part of your pay, but it does have an impact on your offer. So when you're speaking with a recruiter, what you want to do is you want to ask about their benefits package. So for example, when I worked for TikTok, I didn't pay anything for my healthcare benefits, which was awesome. So if I didn't have to pay out of pocket for those benefits, that was money that I got to keep in my pocket. But other companies I've worked at, I've had to pay hundreds of dollars per paycheck just to have medical, dental, and vision insurance. And that can have an impact on your end paycheck. Now that you understand the components that can go into an offer, let's talk about how you could do some research. Now, again, full disclosure, there is no free website that exists that's going to tell you exactly what a company's pay philosophy is going to look like and what your offer is going to look like. There's always going to be some nuance because the websites out there that are free are relying on other people to self-report their data. But it's still information that we can use. We just have to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. So there's some really great websites like Glassdoor, Salary.com, Levels.fyi, and the Blind app. Personally, I'm a huge fan of the Blind app. The reason why is because it's a completely anonymous app. But in order for you to actually participate in the app, you need to have a work email. So if you don't, that's okay. But if you do have a work email, then you can use it. Now let's strategize. Let's talk about how you're going to answer the recruiter when they ask you about what your salary expectations are. The first thing you're going to do is you are going to do your best to redirect the conversation. Redirect the conversation and deflect as much as you possibly can. So the reason why you want to redirect this question is because when you're in a recruiter phone screen, you're answering a lot of questions that the recruiter is asking you. You don't really have the chance to ask the recruiter, the hiring manager, the interviewer, any questions. So you actually don't have enough information to be able to tell the recruiter what your expectations are. How would you know? So when the recruiter asks, what are your salary expectations? Here's something you can say. Really appreciate you asking. I did some research online. However, I understand that every company's compensation structure can change over time, and I don't know enough about the responsibilities of the position to provide you with a range. Can you tell me what a typical offer would look like for this position? Again, you're not being rude. All you're doing is redirecting the conversation to allow them to tell you what that pay band actually looks like. And side note, depending on what state you live in, so for example, I live in California. If you live in a state like Colorado or New York, most companies have to disclose their base salary compensation in their job postings. Now, strategy number 2, offer a salary range. This may sound a bit contradictory to what I said before, but I promise you it's not. There are some companies that when you apply to the job, they're going to ask you in the job posting, what are your salary expectations? Let's say the recruiter really insists that you need to give them a pay range. If that's the case, here's something that you can say. Based on my research on the role's requirements, I would expect a base salary in the range of $75,000 to $100,000. This range reflects my qualifications, experience, and typical market rate for this position. Here's how you're going to set a realistic range. Take into account your experience, your skills, your location, and what the expectations are of that job that you're applying for. What you want to do is you want to provide a range that's not too narrow and not too broad. Let's say you did some research and the range is between $80,000 to $120,000 for the base pay. Here's what you can say to the recruiter. Given my experience and expertise, I'm looking to make between $80,000 to $100,000 in my next role. This range is based on my research on similar positions, my understanding of the responsibilities, and the skills that I bring to the table. I am open to discussing the entire compensation package, including benefits and growth opportunities. So again, what you're doing is you are telling the recruiter, hey, I understand that this job has a pay range, and I'm also telling you that I don't have enough information to give you a definitive number. I still need information before I can tell you what I expect. Remember, when someone asks, what are your salary expectations? It is not a trick question. It's a great opportunity for you to let the company know what it is that you expect. So to recap, this is not a trick question at all. And I've given you some techniques so you can go in there and ace this question. Now, if you like this video, of course, smash the like button, subscribe, and if you need help with a resume, check out this next video where I go in depth on how to write an incredible resume. Thanks for watching.